Testing, testing. 1, 2. Wow, this thing is going to be pretty quiet, huh? This is BlueStacks. I just finished B2b Mega Shine ranked. I was not great. I wasn't terrible. The meta was maybe a little bit sus. I did a little write-up that I'm going to talk you guys through right now. Nice little meta reflection, as it were. Um, First thing I did was I went online and I found some decks I wanted to play. Uh, Let me think. Let me look at these. This one I just love. I just love Ramp Chomp. Um, Absol is still good in the current day, but I wasn't going to play it. Jolteon is still good in the current day, but I wasn't going to play it. Crobat, I have no idea. Mega Venusaur is one of the ones I was considering. Steelix was one of the ones I was considering. And then, Bellibolt? I don't think so. Both Charizards, the Leafeon Ogerpon brew, the Scizor, Mega Manectric, and then Magnezone. Those were the decks. I had like 6, 7 decks that I was going to try and play ranked. I wasn't going to... It would be a terrible day if I needed to play all of them. I was like, I'm going to play some with one, then some with another, and then probably I'll... By the time I get to even like my third deck, I'll probably have already finished ranked. I'm only going from Ultra Ball. Oh no, this is going to be one of those broadcasts where I yawn over and over. I'm only going to play until Ultra Ball to Master Ball, Ultra Ball 3 to Master Ball, so, you know, that doesn't actually take that many wins to do. It ended up taking me something like, maybe 6 hours. The first 2 hours, I literally had, like, a net 0. Let me open up some of these decks. The original one I laddered with, I already shot past it, was the Leafeon Brew. This one, Leafeon Ogerpon, Ogerpon my wife. It's a pretty good deck, I think. It's good enough in the current day. I was unlucky with it, and I also didn't play it super hyper optimally. One annoying thing is that your only way through Oricorio is with that regular ass Leafeon right there. And, you know, that thing can kill an orc. Oh, I gotta mute. I did a nice good yawn, so that'll probably be my last one for a while. If you kill an Oricorio with that Leafeon, you better hope they can't kill that Leafeon in return and play another Oricorio. It's annoying when only one thing in your deck beats Oricorio. I'll put it like that. Leafeon is still a very obnoxious mon to face if you draw it turn 1. Like, if you go first, you get the EV, and then you get the, this only has 3 basics in it, by the way. You get the Leafeon EX, then you get the instant evolution to put the energy on yourself, and then next turn 2 energies on yourself, and you can, just kill. You can do 70 damage on turn 3, and that's before a lot of decks can play an evolution or whatever. And it's a lot of damage to like a EX mon too. Very few things in the meta can like handle that. So basically, fuck, I really am gonna be yawning a lot. Basically, if I draw a Leafeon EX in my early hand, I'm just golden. It's just so strong. Ogerpon was one of the main reasons I wanted to play this. It's been a while since I played Grass, and I just wanted to see the current situation of Grass. Ogerpon does 120 damage if you've got 5 total energies between you and the opponent's active, and then 5 or more. And then Leafeon allows you to get a bunch of energies on Ogerpon very quickly and easily. And Ogerpon only doing 60 damage on 2 energies is not even horrible. Like if you go second and you're forced to lead Ogerpon, it's not even that bad of a situation. Um, this is my first time using Hiking Trail. It's a really good card. It's really good if you can play all your cards right away. So if you've got like a rare candy kind of situation in your deck, you'll often find yourself either sitting on the rare candy or sitting on the stage 2. It's not good in decks like those. Decks with a lot of stage 1s, it's very strong because you can just play all your cards as soon as you get them. I do have a maintenance in here, and maintenance has an interesting synergy with Hiking Trail that maintenance, you discard, well, you shuffle 2 cards from your hand back into your deck, and then you draw a card from your deck. And you can draw the card that you just shuffled away, but it lets you thin out you lose the maintenance too. So you lose the maintenance, and you lose 2 things in your hand besides it. And then you get something back that might be helpful and might not, but then, you know, you've probably thinned out your hand quite a lot, which is really good for Copycat, which is really good for Hiking Trail. So there's a really cool synergy there. I was having a lot of fun with that. I did not do super well with this deck. I went, hold on, I wrote it down. I went 14 wins, 16 losses. I actually had net losses. I ended up, because of the way win streaks work, and because you get 10 per win and lose 7 per loss, I ended up hanging around about the same place. but I like didn't get a streak at all. I was like almost perfectly alternating between wins and losses, which was quite aggravating. And so because of that, I didn't make almost any progress all the time I was playing this deck. But eventually, you play a deck long enough, you're going to get a streak going. It was just bad luck. The deck was performing okay, and it was doing pretty good against a lot of the meta threats. I'll talk about that when I talk about the stuff I faced. Um, and then I'll show the deck that I ended up going the whole way with was Magnezone Oricorio. This is a little gem of a deck. I'm sure my opponents dreaded seeing it. I only ran into one other person playing it, so it definitely wasn't popular. But it was performing really well against every meta deck. You got the two little Magnezone lines to, Magnezone is a crazy HP, 150, and it's not an EX, so they can't hit you with red. I don't think anyone was even running red though. Honestly, I don't think people really run red that much anymore. You've got the draw engine of Lycia. You've got the draw engine of Clement. You've got Copycat, you've got two Pokeballs. You're actually relatively stable in the early game, especially because a lot of mons can't touch Oricorio. And I've got 5 basics here. I've got 2 Magnemites, 2 Oricorio, and and the Ogerpon. The Ogerpon went back and forth between being amazing. I almost never had to lead with it, but I had an absolutely heartbreaking game when I was at almost done. It was like my 4th to last game, and I was about to rank up. I had like a 4-win streak, and I got turn 1, me going first, and then turn 1 Ogerpon with no other mons, and I got absolutely flattened. My opponent got like he got like a turn 3 Hydreigon too, Hydreigon. So that was kind of brutal. But apart from that, Ogerpon is not the here to attack. It can't even attack actually because I have no grass energy. It's just here to sit on the bench and to make me safer against poison and also sleep and Darkrai. And it ended up being very good overall. I don't know if it was truly I think overall it helped me a lot more than it hurt me. Put it like that. I was absolutely cooking Altaria decks with this because a lot of them are running Igglybuff, Darkrai, and then Altaria with the Swablu that sings. And not only that, but some of them are running like Memory Light, so the Altaria can also use Sing, which is pretty crazy. But like Igglybuff only does 10 damage if it can't put you to sleep. And it can't. The thing about Ogerpon is that if you have an energy on your active mon, it can't be statused. Okay, that's the rule there. And Darkrai only does 40 damage if it can't sleep you, and Igglybuff only does 10. And they both have Swablu does 0. And Magnemite one shots Igglybuff, and Magnemite one shots Swablu. And you can't even. Well, you can play a starting field, but that powers up my Magnemite too. So overall, I was just almost every time I ran into a psychic deck, I beat it up. This deck went 16 wins, 8 losses, and I think I had a 5 streak. No, I had the 4 streak that got broken, and then I got 3 streaks several times. The double Cyrus came in clutch. A lot of the time, I'd be fighting like an Absol, and they would discard my Cyrus and then feel safe retreating the Absol. Most people are running only one Cyrus right now, but me having the double Cyrus. I normally do double Sabrina. I mean, rather Sabrina plus Cyrus, and that might have been better here. I think double Cyrus is preferred if you have a mon that can hit the bench. And then if you don't, I think one Sabrina plus one Cyrus is probably the best. But it was nice that people would assume that I didn't have the second Cyrus if they, once I played the first one. Like, I could pull in the same mon twice and stuff like that. Hard to say whether Sabrina would have been better. I think Sabrina is a very slept-on card right now, and I think it probably is legitimately somewhat decent to run one Sabrina and 2 Cyrus. It depends on how weak your deck is to Oricorio, too. Sabrina becomes a much better card if you can't hit Oricorio well, and Repel as well. This deck did really well. I'll talk about it a little bit more, but when I'm talking about what I'm facing. But this was the deck that I landed with, and it was a lot of fun to play. Oricorio is just a big problem for anyone running a very EX heavy deck. So something like Entei Charizard was really struggling to break through me. And then Magnezone, of course, has good HP and does a lot of damage. 2-shots almost everything in the game, and the things that can't 2-shot are Megas, and you can repeatedly pull Megas in with Cyrus. So overall, it was having a pretty strong matchup everywhere. And then, the one thing that kind of sucked about this deck is if I couldn't draw a Magneton, it was pretty brutal. But you have the Clemente and you have the 2 Magnetons. But, I don't have room for a Sightseer or anything like that. Plus, I don't have a 2-star Sightseer, so I don't want to run one anyway. Let me just quickly open up the other decks that I kind of plan to play, just so I can kind of look at them, even though I'm sure they're going to be immortalized online on, Limitless and places like that. This is the current Venusaur brew. You only run the one Bulbasaur. You have the energy, the Grow Extract, and the Ivysaur just to maximize your chances of getting the evolution off, and then also, the Venusaur. the two heavy helmets. This deck kind of plays itself. Um, the one thing is that Oricorio, you can't hurt it, but you can still maybe power through it just by heavy helmet to lower its damage. Plus, your the Lily, Erica, and Pokemon Center Lady all heal you, and then and the Lucky Ice Pop, I guess. Um, Basically, you will eventually wear an Oricorio down through poison damage. Theoretically, it would just be an instant. Well, it might even be a draw if you can hold out long enough. If it's Oricorio with Ogerpon, a lot of people rely on like Poison Barb and stuff like that to beat Oricorio. So my Oricorio Pom Pom Ogerpon deck was doing super well against decks like that. But people weren't really even used to it. They were like thinking. I had people repeatedly like not realize they were already lost on the board, where they just didn't have anything that could possibly dislodge my Oricorio, and like they would like play down two Darkrais and then like put forward the Iggly buff. I had one guy use a Mega Altaria Sing with Memory Light on my Oricorio that was that had an energy on it and Ogerpon on the bench. So like I was obviously immune to status, but you know a lot of people just aren't really used to seeing Ogerpon yet, and weren't really they were surprised by the rules of the game. Anyway, I'm not trying to spend a super long time looking at the decks that I didn't play, but I just want to immortalize them a little bit. This is like a Onyx one. Again, I don't know how you're supposed to break through Ori, but you can kind of tank it just between the two NDDs. I heard this deck was doing crazy numbers. I heard this is a really, really strong deck. I think I lost to it once. I ran into it once and I lost. But it won a bunch of really big tournaments just recently. It's a very nice and stable deck. It's a lot of fun to play too. But I didn't run it during this ranked. Um, Here's my. I don't remember if this is up to date or not from my last one. We got the one. It's still Oricorio and Magnemite, but then you got the one Belly Bolt in there chilling as like your little late game win con kind of thing. I've got the wrong Tadbulb in here. I think the charge one is almost certainly better. Like, what's this one do? Hit Oricorio for 20 damage? Yeah, nah, the charge one is way better. Suicune Excalibur is still a meta deck, and it has like no changes. I think now people run like a single Pokemon Center Lady. Pokemon Center Lady is pretty sus. It like lets you maybe wake up, but like most people are only running one of it, and it's good for the healing. It's good in any matchup because of the healing. But when you really need it against like an Igglybuff, it'll maybe let you kill one Igglybuff, but maybe not. Oftentimes you just won't draw it in time. Here's the Zard deck. You have basically nothing to kill Oricorio. Now I'm looking at it. You've got your Rocky Helmet, so you can make it difficult for the Ori to attack you. Rocky Helmet. I thought Poison Barb was better than Rocky Helmet up until now, but now Ogerpon's in the game. Rocky Helmet's kind of maybe better again because a lot of people are running Ogerpon even on off-color decks. I guess you've got to kill an Oricorio with a Charmeleon in this deck, which is pretty brutal, but I didn't play it. I've heard it's doing quite well. It's got like a 50% win rate in top meta play, so there you go. The Scizor. It's kind of cute. I only have one of the freaking Revavroom 1-stars. I'm running I'm running a bad Varoom because it's shiny. They're like equally viable, so it doesn't matter. Um, I ran into exactly one Scizor and I lost to it. The guy got pretty good luck and also played well. Um, it's definitely a good deck. It's playable. What else? And then Manectric is the last one. One Ori. I really think I don't like this deck. I don't like that there are variations to this, so you don't even run an Ori at all. And they're running like everyone's running Zero Aura. I get that you want to get like an easy Mon on the bench to just make you nice and stable because Zero Aura has 90 HP and gives itself an energy immediately. I don't like running Zero Aura without Energy Switch. I would rather have Energy Switch in this deck than the Electric Generator. But this is the deck that as I saw it, so I was doing pretty well against this deck, but that's mostly because it was really bad into Ori. Zero Aura is not actually a very good Oricorio answer at all. With the Rocky Helmet, it's okay, because Ori does 20 damage to itself, and then it does 50 damage back. But that's assuming, Zero Aura is not actually all that easy to build if you don't lead with it. Anyway, I guess I'll just get to the ranked screen so we can stare at it while I talk about how things went. If it doesn't, if it lets me. Ranked season underway. There's me as Master Ball player with a 2-win streak. And here's my battle. No? What do I want? How do I look at it? Season records. as my win rate of a whopping 30 wins and 24 losses. It took me 50 total games to get back to top Master Ball. Let's see here. I did run into several grass decks. All of them were using Meowscarada EX, and I think one of them of those, one of those had a regular Meowscarada as well, but most of it was Meowscarada EX. And none of them were running Arboliva or anything like that. They're running Ogerpon, Meowscarada EX Ogerpon. That's kind of cool. I think that's a very nice and stable deck. I didn't run into anyone else using Leafeon. Leafeon obviously is good, but I didn't run into it. I don't know how good Meowscarada is. It's certainly popular. I've heard Decidueye is still hanging on by a thread, but I haven't looked into that. I don't know what its actual win rate is. Decidueye is quite fun to play and quite strong. I ran into a decent amount of fire. It was almost all Entei Zard, but a couple of them were Heatmore Blaziken. The grass deck I was using was actually doing alright. And Oricorio absolutely smoked the fire decks. I ran into one Magmortar deck, and I think I won in the early game using Leafeon. One thing that was kind of funny is I didn't actually see a single Charizard EX at all the time I was playing, because all of them are running Charmander Charmeleon, and none of them are running Rare Candy, and none of them wanted to evolve when they saw the Oricorio, and also I either won in the early game or lost in the early game when I was running the Leafeon deck. And it was actually about 50-50. Like Leafeon, if it can attack pretty early, it can donk a Entei pretty well, and then 2-hit KO it. I did have a guy who actually evolved into a regular Charizard to kill one of my Oricorios, but I hit it back for with Magnezone, and then when he tried to retreat it, I just pulled it in and hit it again, and then he couldn't kill my other Oricorio, and he didn't have any way of dislodging it from the active. So having, it's one of those things where you run a single regular Charizard, kind of hoping to kill Oricorio. And a lot of electric decks are running the single Oricorio, or running none. The Manectric one is typically running 0 or 1, and the Bellybolt one is typically running 0 or 1. So, usually having a single mon to beat Oricorio is enough. I think that these decks are choking by only running one. I think it's better to run two. Run two. Oricorio is a really good mon, and there's a lot of new things that become possible once you're running two of it. For example, you can't be repelled because you can just go into the other one. You can't be Sabrinaed because you can just go into the other one. And if they only have one answer, if you can then kill the answer after it kills your first Oricorio, you can then kill the second answer. Anyway, fire decks. Never got a Zard on the board at all at any point, and they had a bunch of cards in hand because they were all running Entei. The Blaziken I fought, one thing that was really funny is both my decks were running Ogerpon, so Blaziken actually only does 120 damage if it doesn't do any burn damage, and I wasn't getting burned because of Ogerpon. Now, that becomes 140 with the grass decks, but Leafeon and Ogerpon with Leaf Cape can both tank that. That being said, it's still a troublesome matchup, What else? Zard is probably good. Entei is probably okay. I was just running a counter deck to it, honestly. Entei just gets absolutely beat up by Oricorio. I feel like a lot of these fire decks probably should be running Entei and then like something and then like a regular stage 2 line. I don't know what. Or like a stage 1 line or something. You should have just like a regular mon that can 1v1 Ori that's okay in other matchups. Like E-Train, I don't know. I wouldn't run Heatran without Arceus, and Arceus Entei Heatran doesn't sound all that great. I don't know, but it's just there's got to be something. Running a single Torkoal to beat Oricorio is just not very good. It's too dangerous. I did run into a couple water. One was Mega Slowbro, one was Ninetales EX. I actually lost to both of them. The Mega Slowbro got an early evolution and a Misty Heads, and I just got, a little washed in the early game. And then Ninetales EX, the guy was playing. He had 2 Rocket Grunts. The first one did nothing, but the second one, he had already killed him on. And then his second Rocket Grunt got 5 heads and removed all 4 of the energies on my Ogerpon. I put a bunch of extra energies on it because I knew he would, try and remove them with his Crawdont evolution. But then he had a second Rocket Grunt and it got a bunch of heads, and I just lost all my energies. And of course I had 0 energies and no way to attach, so I was just cooked. He already had a point and he was guaranteed to get more. One annoying thing is after I switched to Electric, I never saw Suicune or Baxcalibur even once. I was really waiting for that. I mean, Baxcalibur is not weak to Electric or anything, but Oricorio is really strong there and all that. So I was waiting to and beating up Water type with my early game stuff. It's just annoying to never run into them on this week to you. But I understand a lot of people weren't running Water because electric was so populous right now. I didn't see, even when I was running grass, though, I didn't see Suicune Excalibur. It's supposedly still one of the top played decks, and supposedly has a very good win rate even now. But absolutely no one was running it because everyone's running Mega Manectric and stuff. And on that note, for Lightning, uh, probably probably two probably half of the total games I had. I would say half, yeah, probably half of the total games I had were against electric decks. Most of them were Mega Manectric with Zeraora. A couple of them were Belly Bolt, and there was one that was Magnezone like mine. Um, Most people running 1 or 2 Oricorios. I did pretty well if I could get out of the early game because Zeraora's not great into Ori, and Electrike is also not great into Ori, and Tadbulb is also not great into Ori. So a lot of the meta electric mons were just getting owned by my electric deck. And then, their Ori versus mine, even if they manage to 1v1 me, like my Magnezone comes in and flattens it, and then I still have the other Ori chilling. There were a decent number of Psychic decks. Almost all of them were Altaria. The Altaria decks currently were mostly running Darkrai Igglybuff. Those decks usually run 2 Darkrai, 2 Igglybuff, and 2 Swablu, so you have 6 basics. And I think that's not enough to reliably power up Altaria. I was noticing there were a lot of times where Altaria was hitting for 100 damage, just because they were unable to fill up their bench. And then leading Darkrai absolutely sucks. Like, really, really sucks. So I really don't like that you only have 6 basics and 2 of them are terrible as leads, you know? Igglybuff's a good lead. Swablu's an acceptable lead. Having Darkrai at all makes you feel a little bit safer because, even if Igglybuff gets owned, you can go into the Darkrai and it's still only 1 knockout point. Um, I absolutely owned these decks. Oricorio beats up these decks, especially with Ogerpon support. There was one game where I couldn't get Ogerpon in the early game, but then all the other ones I got it fast enough that I didn't have to deal with any kind of singing nonsense. Um, I once Ogerpon was on the field, I probably had like a 9-1 matchup against that deck, I would say, or more. It just becomes unwinnable for the Psychic deck. Magnemite one-shot Swablu, one-shot Igglybuff, and they're relying on the sleep, and I'm immune to sleep, and nothing can break me. And then Cape Ori lives 2 Darkrai hits. It only does 40 damage. That's the only mon that can damage me besides Igglybuff's 10. I saw exactly one fighting deck. It was Silvally Rampardos. I actually got absolutely screwed up by it. I got fucked up in the early game before Rampardos even came out. He played it, but it never hit the active. Silvally could one-touch both Magneton and Oricorio, and Rampardos theoretically one-shots Magnezone unless Cape is on. So it's just a really bad matchup for my deck. It's probably still an okay deck, but I don't know. There's better supporters now than there were back when people were playing it. I don't have a clue. It's it's a no EX deck too, so you're guaranteed to get a decent amount of stuff. I guaranteed is a strong word, like Silvally theoretically gets one shot by Hydreigon. I don't know how it does against the other top meta decks. I didn't see any other fighting decks though. I saw a decent number of dark decks. Annoyingly, I didn't run into any dark decks at all while I was playing Grass, which is one of Grass's good matchups. Some of them were Igglybuff Darkrai with Darkrai EX, and some of them were Absol Hydreigon. I had a pretty good matchup with Hydreigon because of all my mons being 1 knockout point. And after a Hydreigon attacks Magnezone, it hits it down to low HP, but then I hit back with Magnezone, and they have to choose whether to roar or not because the Magnezone's attack, the Mirror Shot, makes it so Hydreigon only has a 50-50 chance of hitting me. So they've got to put their turn energy onto Hydreigon and drop its HP by 30 for a 50-50 shot of hitting the Magnezone again, and that's pretty brutal. Sometimes I dodged, sometimes I didn't. But a lot of people weren't even willing to deal with that and would just put their energies on the bench mons immediately. I won almost every dark matchup I did. I ran into 2 Gengar decks, and I beat them up super hard. They didn't even get anything going. So Gengar's ass, as predicted. I only ran into 1 Steel deck. It was Scizor EX. I lost. He got a really early Scizor. He had the Orthworm, and he got the Rivaroom. He got all the luck he could have possibly had, and I just got nothing in time. Dragon, I ran into Dragonite several times. I won about half of them. One of my last matches, the second time I was at a promotion chance, it didn't get the promotion until my 3rd promotion game. And the second one, the guy had turn 3 Dragonair and then turn 5 Dragonite, and I just got owned. And turn 3 Dragonite with this guy's blessing. Most of my Electrons are low HP until I get Magnezone evolved, and it's a non-EX deck, so Ori does nothing. I did run into 1 Haxorus while I was playing Leafeon, and I did beat it. I forget the other mon he was using besides the Axew. but I remember it made me laugh because it wasn't fighting and it wasn't metal. I think it was Oricorio. I think it was literally someone running Oricorio on a fighting metal deck, which just tells you the current situation of a Hexorus. Hexorus could be a good card with the right support, but no one has figured out any way to make it work yet. Um, I did run into Kangaskhan a few times in terms of normal decks. I beat it up pretty good. Um, Without red increasing your damage or whatever. I usually just outsped it in the early game. The Magnezone deck is really good for that kind of thing. Plus, you got multiple mons that all set up at the same time. So, I just outpaced them in the speed of my deck. Um, what else? I guess that's it. That's all the types. What are our megas? Mega Scizor, it's good. Mega Gengar, it's bad. Mega Manectric, it's good, but it's kind of a win more card. It does 80 for 2 energies, which is quite good, but not great in the late game. And if you can't get a point, it goes up 30 per point you get. But if you can't get a point, it just stays at 80. So if you're doing well, it's you start owning, and if you're doing badly, you start falling apart, which is kind of like how Lightning works as a deck type. So it feels very thematic for Lightning. You try and win in the early game, and if you can't win in the early game, it's dire. Mega Slowbro is probably underrated, honestly. That high HP is actually a really big deal, and the bench attacking is actually very useful too. Zardex is probably good, but I think the deck construction people are using is a little sus. The top meta threats are still Hydreigon and Altaria, and then Bellybolt and Manectric are also good now as top meta threats. I didn't run into that many Bellybolts, but I think it's still good. What else for new cards? The Hiking Trail is a really good stadium, and it works well with maintenance, as I said. Um, I didn't see Nasty Notice. I didn't see Kalem. Kalem will probably be good once there's multiple megas in each type. Was there any other new card? I don't remember. There's probably some like non-EX I'm not thinking of that was quite relevant, quite meta. Besides like River Room and all that. Lucky Ice Pop, still one of the dumbest cards in the whole game. I would say probably 80% or more of the decks I fought were running like Lucky Ice Pop. I really hate that thing works so well with high HP mons because we're in a meta where like megas can't get one shot. Lucky Ice Pop being able to potentially save you from 2 shots is basically relevant in every single game. So if you're running a mega at all, you're probably running a Lucky Ice Pop alongside it. And I even fought some people who had 2 Lucky Ice Pops because they'd get a Tails on a Lucky Ice Pop and then play another one anyway. Um, I lost several games I would have won if not for Lucky Ice Pop, and I also won several games I should have lost. I feel like I had really good Lucky Ice Pop luck. I had like 4 or 5 times where I got like 5 heads on it, moving myself out of kill range, and then a couple more where I almost did and then just missed it by 1 heads. Um, I literally had a game where I should have won, but the timer ticked down during my. I got like 6 or 7 heads in a row, and the timer ticked all the way down while I'm flipping Lucky Ice Pop over and over. And I didn't put my energies on because I was trying to figure out whether I should put my energies on my active mon. I only wanted to do that if it would live, so I just had to play the Lucky Ice Pop first to see whether I would live or not. And then it was a Leafeon, so I was unable to use both my turn energy and the Leafeon's ability because I was running out of time. So I didn't even get to finish doing all my Lucky Ice Pop flips. And because of that, I actually got the heads on the penultimate flip. Well, it was the ultimate flip because I didn't get to do any more. But I got heads and I got my Lucky Ice Pop back. And I could have played it again, theoretically. And lived through the Hydreigon's attack. But I couldn't play it the final time because I only had like 10 seconds left and I had to attach my energy and use my Leafeon's ability and then attack. So I ended up like dying to the second Hydreigon hit, which was super frustrating. The animation just takes way too long, and needing to flip individually takes way too long. Lucky Ice Pop is an insanely badly designed card. Like, really, really bad. The thing that really burns me about it is the initial use. It feels like the initial use shouldn't give you any health. The fact that it's, like, already a potion. The worst it can be is still a potion. And then it can potentially give you a bunch of extra HP. Like, I really feel like it should just do nothing, and then if you flip heads, it heals 20 and you get it back. And then it should do nothing unless you get heads again. Like, the heal should hinge on the heads, I feel. Otherwise, it just power creeps potion way too much, and it's such a stupid card. It's so stupid. What else? Sabrina's still busted. I think it's very underrated. Cyrus is still busted. Sabrina's much better than people think. I think it's only a hair below Cyrus. Most people are running one Cyrus and no Sabrina. But I had a lot of games where the opponent would have won if they had Sabrina, And then I had a couple more games where the opponent had Sabrina and played it and won. It's also very useful for disruption in the early game, which Cyrus can't do. Another card that's super underrated right now is Guzma. There were a lot of games that the outcome would have just changed if there was a Guzma in play. Like, if I could just use a Guzma to remove the metal core barrier, I would have beaten that Scizor. If I could just use Guzma against like Rocky Helmets, I would have like I had a game where I would have won, but I had to get a tie because Oricorio couldn't safely hit an Altaria through its helmet, and Guzma would have just removed both the helmets. Guzma had several instances where it was game altering, and it would almost always been useful. Like everyone's running tools. Ogerpon ended up being a lot of different decks because of how crazy it is to dodge status too, letting you just ignore Poison Barb and Darkrai and all that. That's pretty much it. That's all I had to say. I had a couple interesting games. Um, I ran into a guy using Altaria with the new Mew, the 50 HP Mew that uses a random attack, and it was such a frustrating game because he kept on. I could not draw my other Leafeon. It was literally the bottom card of my deck, and because of that, the Mew kept on being able to use Leafeon's attack. Like if it could use any other attack, it would have been fine, but it was getting Leafeon's attack over and over for 70 damage. I forgot what was going on. I couldn't kill it. I think it was low on energy. I had to switch or something like that. Or he had two Mews. That was it. And my opponent just like the Mew would have just become dead weight if I could draw my last card. I don't have that many attacking mons in my grass deck, so if he like just didn't get if I just got my Leafeon, the Mew just became useless. But I couldn't. Very frustrating. It was drawing the best possible card it could attack it could draw. I did end up losing that game. I had another game, a really interesting game versus that Mew with Electric. I posted the screenshot of it on my social. Um, it was a guy who had two of the shiny cinematic Mew. I was like, damn, like that's some whale shit right there. Honestly, like that's a 1 in 300 card, and you can't like buy it with pack points. You have to get through legitimately, and you can't trade it. And then um, there's nothing even good in the latest pack. So like, why are you wailing on the latest pack? You should be wailing on like Shining Revelry or something for your gold Pokeballs. Um, anyway, I forget if that guy. Oh, he had a gold Pokeball, but not two. I'm like, priorities, bro. Get your gold Pokeballs. Um, what else? Oh, I beat that. No, that was the game that I drew where I killed both the Mews. Mew was his only mon that could hit Oricorio, and Oricorio one-shots Mew in return, and both times he attacked into my Oricorio with his Mew, he pulled Magneton's attack, and both times he actually failed to kill my Oricorio, because it did 60 damage on one of my Oricorios and then 60 damage on the other, which was pretty funny. And then he had Helmet Altaria, and I just couldn't do anything, but he couldn't get my Oricorio out of the lead spot because his only cards were, uh, I think, two Indeedees, two Altarias, two Mews, and I forget what else. But like, he literally didn't have a mon that could beat Oricorio, and I didn't have a way of damaging him without killing myself. So we just waited it out for the turn 30, and then we both thanked each other. I noticed his thanks when I was getting my tickets or whatever, and I thank almost everyone. I think just pretty even if someone bad manners, I usually thank them. Um, but I remember thinking like, damn, what a professional. Both of us just realizing there was nothing doing. We had a funny game, and then just played it out till 10:30. I didn't have a streak at the time, so the tie didn't break a streak or anything. Both of us were just like, whatever, life goes on. And then I had a really interesting game with an opponent who brought freaking Miss Magius and Ariados. So Ariados raises the switching price by 1 energy, and Miss Magius does 90 damage for 1 energy, but you can switch out to dodge the hit. So like I won, but there were several times where I was running what was I running when I ran into it? I was running the electric deck. Several times I had to tank like a 90 damage hit. Actually, just once. No, twice, I think. I had to tank a 90 damage hit because I was unable to switch. Switching does cancel Miss Magius' attack, though. And he had the two Miss Magius, the regular non-EX Miss Magius, and then he was a Psychic Energy deck, and then he had no Grass Energies, and Ariados needs Grass to attack. So I thought the game was just over, but he wasn't forfeiting, so I was just like, bonking. I was just charging out. I think I killed the Miss Magius with like an Ori, and then I was like waiting for my Magnezone or whatever. And I was just chilling, just building up for a win. And then I was thinking it's weird that he hadn't forfeited. And then right at the end, um, on the turn before I was about to win, he played down a Tapu Lele and then put an energy on it and then like retreated it to the active and used a energy arrow, whatever it's called, Tapu Lele's attack, and it did 20 less than my health. Tapu Lele does damage equal to 20 times the number of energies on the opponent's field, I think, something like that. Like if I had one more energy, I was dead. And it was by pure circumstance. I had no idea he had something like that waiting in the wings. And it has really good synergy with Ariados because that mon encourages you to attach all these extra energies. So and because he waited so long to play it down, it was super clutch that I didn't get owned by it. Really interesting, clever deck. I just happened to win. I wonder how it does against other top meta decks, but it was like I've never seen that brew in my life. Bro just came up with something really, really novel. Very interesting. No EX deck with Miss Magius, Ariados, and Tapu Lele. Now you know. I've revealed the secret. I bet he didn't want me telling you guys about that. Um. Anyway, I guess that's all I got to say. I could do a game right now. I don't want to. I'll open a pack. You guys can all watch me open a pack. It'd be so dank if I got like a god pack right now. 1 in 500, baby. Oh, I can do a 24-hour wonder pick. I think today's my wonder pick day, so we can see if I get a 2-star. I think I'm only missing Gengar and bro. What is this title screen? Okay, that's my 24-hour. That's Gengar. I'm missing two stars currently. Yellow. See if we get it. I always pick where the mon is. It's determined whether. Oh! On the recording. Blessed. This is God rewarding me for making content on YouTube. Got Mega Gengar. I swear with the 24-hour Wonder Picks, my win rate is a lot more than 20%. It feels like 50. I swear I'm always getting these stupid cards. Haven't got the Cinematic Mew yet. That'd be nice. I got the Shiny God Pack. I got 2 God Packs for Mega Shine. Just crazy thinking about that. I haven't even opened that many packs for it. I've still got all these hourglasses, still got all my gold and all that. Gengar, huh? Too bad it sucks, but it's kind of cool. I'll make a quick double check that there's no other 4. What's that? It's Staraptor, my beloved. Vivillon. I heard people are running Vivillon for some reason. What, Sleep plus Darkrai or something like that? I heard that Vivillon has like got a little teeny resurgence. It's quite cool. Vivillon is a mon I like a lot. I like most of those little butterfly fellas. Anyway, I'll make do on my promise, and I will open a pack as soon as the title screen figures out what the heck is going on. This is a emulator. This is BlueStacks. It's not very happy about this. I got 620 pack hourglasses. Just as a little bit of proof. It forces you to use those before you use gold, I think. So a little bit of proof that I've spent like nothing on Mega Shine and yet still ended up with 2 God Packs out of it. Who knows how? I don't even want a 3rd one. What do I want? I want the 1-star Revavroom would be really killer. Oh, I got something. It's a 1-star. Ah. I was about to say if I got the Wonder Pick and the Revavroom, that would have been crazy. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for listening.